This is an imaginary story, which may never happen, but then again may. About a perfect man who came from the sky and did only good. It tells of his twilight, when the great battles were over, and the great miracles long since performed, of how his enemies conspired against him, and of that final war in the snow-blind wastes beneath the northern lights, of the woman he loved and the choice he made between them, of how he broke his most sacred oath, and how finally all the things he had were taken from him, save for one. It ends with a wink. It begins in a quiet Midwestern town one summer afternoon in the quiet Midwestern future. Away in the big city, people still sometimes glance up, hopefully from the sidewalks, glimpsing a distant speck in the sky. But no, it's only a bird, only a plane. Superman died 10 years ago. This is an imaginary story. Aren't they all? Welcome, clobberers, to Clobbering Times issue number 284. Well, YouTube, of course, number 984 overall. And it is Wildcard Wednesday night, which means I can do whatever I want. Just sit around and be a lazy bum or actually try to get something done. Yeah, okay, the bum part's easier. And I've got that down to a science, don't I? But tonight, I thought I'd try to get something done, something we really wanted to do, starting doing last year. And as you all know, we lost our dear friend, the great Mark C. And it's still, we had so many things planned in terms of classic comic reviews. And, well, we never got it done. We never started it out. But we're starting now. And I'm going to at least try to do it a couple of times a month, but at least for once. If I can do it, get a couple of them in there, I will. And I wanted to start with a classic. And I wanted to start with an extraordinary, amazing fellow who is relatively, I'd say you could say relatively new to YouTube. He has a new channel. And of course, I have a link in my chat below. Of course, I want you all to, if you have not, please sub to his channel. He's my good friend, Maxfield Von Priestley, MVP. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much, Clobby. Hey, thank you so much for having me on. It is a pleasure. I've been watching your show for a while, just kind of as a speculator and or spectator, listening and learning and just gleaning a lot of information from what you have to say about all this stuff. You know, as yourself a comic book collector, reader, store owner at one point, so all this stuff. So I'm very thankful to be here. So thanks again for having me. And we get to talk about one of my favorite heroes and one of my favorite heroes stories of all time, which is super cool. So I'm thankful for it.
Looking forward to it, man. And I love the story for a long time. And of course, you and I, like I said, we've hung out a few times on our good buddy Nick Weiser's Friday Night Comic Shop, and got to know each other a little bit on there. And oh, thank you, Lord Doth. He put it up before I was able to pick it up. Thank you. Please, if you have not subscribed to MVP's channel, please do, my friends. I will continue. Of course, I keep it in my with all many other, by the way, many other links to other wonderful channels, by the way, everyone in my description below of wonderful YouTubers. And but yeah, we've had a chance to talk a little bit about comics. This is the first time we've ever been able to go one-on-one talking about anything, and I was very excited about that because you know your stuff, and I know we share a love for the character of Superman. So
no, 100%. Those streams with Nick are so much fun that we get to kind of gush over the things that we love and all these comic books and stuff. So, but now, like you said, we get to kind of dive into a little bit more in depth about these two issues in particular, which are just like, masterclass. So yeah, no, it's great to kind of move over from a larger stream into kind of something a little bit more narrow. So, and by the way, thank you, LT, for putting that link up. Appreciate it.
Thank you, LT. I've decided again. It was just something that kind of got away from us a little bit last year. What we were doing, my good buddy, my dearly departed buddy Mark C. And then we had plans we were going to review the Simonson Store run and try to make a regular feature. Ace Cast On, what's up, bro? Good to see you, buddy. We were gonna make that a regular feature. Simonson Store run, and we would pick. We had a lot of other things we wanted to review, and we were going to do it as regularly as we could. And then last January, of course, he became ill, and it just kind of and I don't know if you know the story, but he passed on in March. Unfortunately, we've been doing shows together up until that, and unfortunately, he was beloved to a lot of people in this community, and it just didn't. The whole year went by. I just didn't do any reviews. It just didn't feel right. I just didn't. Not that I would. He and I had already done 2 other reviews, and we've done a lot of other types of shows too. But we've done 2 other review shows, and we had that planned. And I wanted to do more. I wanted to do once a month, and after he passed, it just didn't. I don't know. We're gonna now. I'm to the point where I can do it now. Not Simonson Store run. I don't think I'll ever do that now that he's gone. But I wanted to do some other stuff. And so that's the deal now. At least once a month. Sometimes I'll squeeze a second one in there, but I'm going to review something that is a classic, have a guest on, something that who knows what I'll do, but it'll all be stuff that, well, it's classic. At least I deem it classic, and I guess that's all that'll matter.
That's I could imagine that would be extremely difficult coming back on here and doing reviews with that loss, with something that heavy as a loss. So but hey, I appreciate you doing this one with me tonight, because it just means I think Mark C probably would have wanted you to continue doing these reviews, if that was something you guys loved. So my Monday night comic show, which is named after him, Monday Night Mark C Comics Talk, and but he would have he and I were probably going to, at one point, who knows, maybe we would have got to that. Let's see, we reviewed, I don't know if you're familiar with the 2007 comic called Justice. That was painted by Jim Kruger, painted by Alex Ross. Yeah.
Beautiful. Which that was a great story that I thought almost felt like it was written by Moore in a sense. And man, it looked fantastic. It's the DC universe looking at its finest, I thought. Yeah, then we reviewed the classic story, The Coming of Galactus, for the Fantastic Four, 48, 49, and 50.
So good.
Yeah. And so it's, look, they're plentiful. There's, plenty to choose from, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So this one, and I'll just set it up for those who are not familiar. Right around 1986, 85 and 86, of course, 85 was Crisis on Infinite Earths. DC Comics had decided in their infinite wisdom to reboot Superman. I'm not going to go into because my buddy Mark C and I fundamentally disagreed on it. He loved the Burns reboot. I hated it. I was a lot older than him. He was another one. I was telling you about a guy that I was friends with that bought comics from me. He's another one of those guys like that he bought comics from me when he was a kid, and then I met him years later, and he makes sure he told me that. Is that a Rabid Slug Ouchies? Is that how you say that? Well, hello there, Rabid Slug Ouchies. I like that name. Very cool. I like that. Welcome. I've not seen you here before. So D-Bud, what's up, brother? We got a lot of great friends here. Ace Cast Iron, I'm really happy to see you here, buddy. The great Lord Thoth, Avon lives, long live the Legion. Matthew Pounder, the great Hungry for Respect, to Kal-El to return. I like that name. He's always got a different name there for everything there. The lovely Sherry is here. Beautiful lady. Great to see you. Matthew Pounder. Who else popped in earlier? Dave travels through time. Channel 2. Good to see you, my friend. Comic Relief Crusader. Good to see you, buddy. Just want to make sure. Sorry about that. I didn't say it at the outset, everyone. Just want to make sure. Chat kind of froze on me for a while there. So welcome everyone else. I hope I didn't miss anyone, but if I did, just say hello. So they were coming along with a complete another sweeping reboot that my buddy Mark C and I did not agree on. He loved it. I hated it. I was, again, a lot older. It was John Byrne, who was basically wiping out everything he did not like about Superman lore and continuity to start his own series. A few of us, as you might imagine, Max, back then, weren't too happy about that. Now, the comics industry in general, because you talk a lot about the current comics industry. And by the way, that's the thing. Any of you, Max has got a great channel. He does great videos. Eric K, what's up, bro? The Bronze Surfer. He does great videos talking about the current state of the comics industry. And if you want to stay informed on that his channel is he does an amazing job of that, by the way. That was something I did, although not with a channel, mind you, back and kept close eye on back then in the 80s, Max. And it was very different from it is today. It was obviously a thriving industry. Comic shops were in their heyday, really getting started. Being in comic shops at that time was just incredible. Fandoms, just existed at the comic shop. It was a healthy industry at the time because it didn't, it was sales, as you could imagine, dwarf the kind of sales you get today. Tenfold, 100fold. It's insanity, right? So it was a big deal. Comics were huge. Comics were legitimate as an art form and as a business, and as an industry.
Yeah.
So Superman was big stuff, and they'd just gotten through retooling the whole DC universe with the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and yet they were already going to John Byrne. And back then, since comics were a big business, a big name in the business, what they used the term was fan favorite, could come in and get some big bucks. If and DC had been luring a lot of Marvel talent over the years, and now they finally get John Byrne because he'd always wanted to mess around with Superman, so he said. And I'm not going to get into that as far as what he did. I'm just simply saying that when it became known that was coming up, and it was known in the industry for some time, as these things often are, Alan Moore, who had made a name for himself just in American comics alone on Swamp Thing, Watchmen was coming up at that point, so he was just the fan favorite was Byrne, but Alan Moore was huge as well, and he'd been doing a lot of smaller DC work, backups and such. He'd done a couple of Superman stories already. He approached then legendary DC Comics editor Julius Schwartz, whom I've been lucky enough to meet a couple of times. He was a legend, and he was, of course, he'd edited Superman for 20-something years. Schwartz tells the story as Alan Moore walked up to him and says, "I understand that you're looking for someone. You wrote in the last Superman story of the last before he's changed or whatever. The big good boy, whatever." And Schwartz said, they talked about it at the con. He said, "If you don't let me write that last story, I'm going to kill you." And I said that very poorly. But well, Julius Schwartz says, "Well, not wanting to be accomplice to my own murder, I let him write it because it meant something to Alan Moore. He may be a crazed loon right now. You are, Alan. Alan, you're crazy." The nut could write, and the nut cared about superheroes. So Moore was given the assignment, and they were going to carry it over the last two regular issues. Well, the last two, they were going to mess with the titles, Action and Superman. Superman would become Adventures of Superman. They would start another Superman title at number 1, and then Action Comics would go just it would go to, well, keep the numbering, but they would, again, they would change it. But anyway, so here you have it, the two-parter story that we just talked about, that we just showed a bit from. It's called Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Alan Moore on the writing shores. Kurt Swan, my all-time favorite Superman artist, on the pencils. And in the first part, which is Superman number 423, inked by George Perez. And dude, what a beautiful, job he did inking Swan on this story. First of all, that has to be noted right away. The art's beautiful in this thing.
Yeah. One of the first pages where we see like Bizarro, and this is, a little bit later into the story, but Bizarro starts tearing up the town. There's a wide shot of the town being kind of taken over, and there's fires and people running, and no expense is spared on the detail on anything. And it's just so beautifully done. All these, profiles of Lois are gorgeous. Yeah, that one right there, where Superman kind of,
sometimes it freezes up on,
that's the colors in this are so vibrant too. Everything looks great.
That's fantastic.
But the fire and the smoke and everything, it just looks so, and even like the water glistening off of the or kind of having that reflection on the ground there, like every detail that they could have thought of was in there.
Yes, Perez, again, Perez is not someone you think of as an inker. If you know old comic book art, he was almost always a penciler. He rarely even inked himself, but he loved Superman, and it was just cool that he gets to ink. Again, at that point, and still my favorite Superman artist of all time, Kurt Swan, penciler, but he's had many inkers. Perez as an inker, and I think Hungry Boy, who is a comics artist, might agree with me. Perez really almost, I don't mean this in a bad way, he overpowers Swan a little bit in this thing, but wonderful results. It's just because, well, it's George Perez. The guy was just fantastic, And this story, of course, starts out with an interview just 10 years later from, it's been 10 years since Superman dies, quote unquote. And it's an interview with Lois Lane, who is now retired and living and has a child, living in a different state. She doesn't work for the Daily Planet anymore. She's being interviewed by this guy for the 10-year anniversary of the death of Superman. And this story tells how it happened. And why you want to do this to me, Comicology? Well,
and I remember when I first read this issue when I was a bit younger, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I had just picked up the issue and was just like, or the trade, and kind of pulled it out. And Lois says, or the reporter says something like Lois Elliott, and I go, Lois Elliott. I go, and I'm thinking, did Lois really marry someone else? Like, are you kidding me? I was so heartbroken. And then, later in the story, we get the payoff. But it was pretty funny. I had no idea what was going on when I first read it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I can't believe this to me.
I was going to say, I know Comixology is probably giving you a hard time.
Why you're doing this of all time? I hate you, Comixology. Hello there, Janet from another planet. You put me in a good mood when I needed a mood boost, because it's been working kind of wonky all day, but at least it's been working. Now it's going to pull this crap.
It's going to buffer,
sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
No,
I'll get it back.
Right.
Oh my God. So continue, please, and I'll fix this here.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Comixology. What I thought was kind of interesting that you had mentioned previously, and what I thought was interesting about this time frame and why they did this Superman story was, like, after nearly 50 years of comics, we had creators finding new ways to write. Like, we had the Dark Knight series and the Dark Knight Returns, we had Watchmen, and then we got Crisis. And so for these stories and for these writers, there was so much deconstruction going on, and a lot of the fans were kind of iffy about all this, and they were like, "What the hell is going on? Like, we're just not sure, like, what's kind of happening in the DC universe." And so they easily could have come out with these two Superman issues and just killed him off and done all this terrible stuff to him. Just been like, whatever, crisis happened, and we're moving on to Man of Steel. But they gave him so much reverence and sent him off in such a beautiful way that it left fans with a beautiful kind of ending, if that's where they wanted to end their Superman collection. It really kind of beautifully ties off a lot of loose ends with villains and friends and family and storylines, and it's kind of everything wrapped into one.
See, this Kal-El, what's up, brother? Good to see you. And J-Man, hey, buddy. Good to see you. Pop Culture Republic, hello there. Here's the thing about that. As someone who loves the Golden and Silver and the Bronze Age, Superman, I don't want it to end. So
True.
I don't want it to be over. However, if it has to be over, and you're going to have closure to it, because this story should never have had to been written. Should never have happened. What used to happen back then was if the book was stale or not doing all that well, and it wasn't. I mean, it was, for a Superman title, it was kind of dragging, and you wanted to create some more excitement or what have you. Bring in a new creative team, and you don't have to come in and do a sweeping reboot and say, as Byrne said, nothing ever happened to Superman unless I say so. Screw you. You should crapping on the work of people who went before is not the way to go, you arrogant prick. And that's what Byrne is.
Yeah.
So even if you like this reboot, you got to admit that's some arrogant crap. Just how about just do your own thing and don't dump on the people who went before?
Well, because that's what a lot of. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mean, that's what essentially they were trying to do with Crisis is like, listen, we don't want all these different multiverses. We just kind of want to, these are the characters that are in continuity, and whatever happened prior can be, is it real or is it fake or is it like the intro that Alan Moore had said, that these stories are imaginary, so it kind of left the reader with that take of did that happen or was it imaginary? But for a lot of people, like you said, like even for yourself, it's like, why does this have to end? Like Superman, is so great, but
I didn't like. I got a lot of problems with Crisis for those very reasons. I don't think Crisis was not done for. That's a long story. That was done. Crisis was not done for honest reasons either. And what I mean by what I mean by honest reasons, is if your reboot or your big sweeping Crisis is meant to try to streamline your continuity, that means you're not doing the story for a creative reason. Hello there, Dad, man. In other words, you didn't sit down and say, hey, this would be a great idea for a story, guys. You said, hey, how can we try to create a big crossover, first an excuse for a crossover to sell a bunch of funny books, and we could allegedly streamline our continuity. That's not done for creative reasons. And Byrne's reboot, yes, Byrne wanted to bring Superman in his own way. He could have simply taken the characters and did his own thing without having to redo the origin. I hate that revamp crap. I hate revisionism, especially when it's not your character. It's a little bit different if you created the characters. You didn't. So take someone else's character, show respect for it. If you think they did some dumb stuff, fine, ignore that dumb stuff they did and do your own thing. Don't bastardize the character and don't revise the character's history. So it was good, but that was the decision. That's just the hand I was dealt as a Superman fan. I have no say in it. So in that regard, Alan Moore, by the way, was supposed to be one of the ones part of that reboot, but he turned out he just didn't. He didn't sign up. He wanted to do some dumb stuff too that I wouldn't have been approved of either. But that's another story. So they said, look, you get to put an ending to the. I always throw golden in there because there's some golden elements, but it's really the Silver or Bronze Age Superman lore,
right?
And basically, so this has a dark tint to it. The story is dark in a sense. The great thing about it is both Swan and Perez and Schaffenberger with that art make it look as innocent and as as any Silver or Bronze Age comic book. They make it look, as light. It doesn't have any of the dark brooding qualities of the Miller stuff, or even more Swamp Thing, or any of the stuff like that, in terms of its atmospheric look or in terms of its art. But the darkness is in there, including, for example, it's got some brutal stuff. Now that's why I've had some people say, you hate all the dark stuff of Superman, but you like this story. I said I wouldn't have liked it unless I knew this was an ending. And if you're going to have an ending on something, I have no problem with doing that, as long as you don't destroy the character, or well, we'll get to that part.
Yeah, the Action Comics 583 gets really dark in the second portion of this two-part, because the first Superman, Superman 423, you're kind of just getting that initial feeling of finality, of like, what is going on? Why are we seeing these villains like committing these crimes? Why does Superman have these feelings and Lois have these feelings? And so you're kind of getting a direction of where it's ultimately going to go. And then, like you said, we do see those darker elements in Action 583, and it really kind of comes to a culmination, but ultimately ends with a reverence for the character. At least from when I read it, I find that there's a reverence for that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Alan Moore could have taken a really dark, weird turn on this, but I don't think he did. He just added some darker elements to make the story much more impactful.
Dark is fine and even in stories like this, if the light wins out. I don't mind the dark. Superman can be in a dark story as long as you don't darken Superman.
Yeah, that's a great point. I need to quote that and clip that and put it on Twitter, Clobby. That was great.
Quoting myself.
Darkness.
After Man of Steel, I wrote a real long review of Man of Steel in 2013, right after it came out, and it's all. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to interrupt you. So that was that's something I've been saying for a long time.
I love that. Yeah, darkness is fine as long as the light wins out, and that's true. But we're not seeing any light, winning in modern day comics. It's all doom and gloom, and how do you escape that darkness? So
absolutely. And Moore still manages to come up with some brilliant things, like in this one. It opens up where his I guess you would say the sillier of his villains are acting in pretty dark ways. Bizarro has always been kind of a goofy villain, and he said, it am part of genius plan of Bizarro self-improvement. And basically he realized that me am not perfect, imperfect duplicate, maybe me not trying hard enough. Example, when your planet Krypton blow up by accident, you am coming Earth as baby. So me decide to blow up whole Bizarro world on purpose and come to Earth as adult. He said, you blew up your own world? Yeah, that's right. Pretty imperfect, huh? Only Moore would come up with something so crazy.
Bizarro essentially commits. Yeah, it's brilliant and crazy.
Genocide.
And, I mean, even Lois says, Bizarro's rampage of genocide, homicide, and suicide. Later suicide, which we find out. And just it's insane that that they took a character that is normally known to be laughed at, and then he commits such heinous crimes, and you and that's the first thing we see, and so you go, oh man, we're in for a ride now.
So. He sells Bizarro, what's happened to you, and you can't really. I can't believe you really destroyed your homeworld. He says, that only beginning. That am only beginning. Realize it's never kills. Realize that Superman never kills, so me kill lots of people. Them very grateful and scream with happiness. Killed people.
Oh my god!
I love it. And this get more. I love how everything going dark. Hello, Superman. Hello.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I remember when I first read this, I'm like, oh my god, I'm already getting chills because it's brutal. Then you have the unmasking. Oops, there you go again. The unmasking part.
Good old comics.
It's been doing this all day. Didn't used to do this.
I'll let me get your opinion on this because I've always been interested, you know, even with Bizarro and even with Brainiac and Lex and Mr. Mixoplix, or you know, however you want to pronounce it. The action figures here in this portion of the story tend to be like really out there type of almost like silver age, where Superman was getting into all kinds of goofy little scenarios, and it feels very Silver Age
Yes,
esque.
it is.
How do you feel about the little toy action figures?
I love it because again, you were talking about Toyman and Prankster, and the whole point.
Yeah.
Moore's job here was to. It was not his job to judge the Silver Age as silly. It was for him to take that silly stuff and put it into a serious story. In order to do that, you have to take it seriously, and it's addressed though. So yes, it's flying action figures, but that's Toyman. You never forget, no matter how you're talking about the DC universe, it's got silly stuff in there, and they just burn his clothes off. And we find out who he is, and then you think, okay, that's one thing. But then, in order to find out who his secret identity, they murdered Pete Ross. And
yeah, that was another big one.
No, that was. I mean, they've never really been killers before. But I love the scene where he says, "You know, Prankster, Toyman. Let me ask you one question. Do you know what radio waves look like?"
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Because I do. And it's but again, you're reading this, it looks like an innocent Silver Bronze Age comic, but it's terrifying.
Oh yeah, I mean, because we've just witnessed the murder of someone by two criminals, once again, that normally don't get a lot of agency because they're normally like they may be laughed at or whatnot. And they're so goofy. Then they're goofy. And then after revealing his identity, they actually have like you said, a murder occur. But I like you had mentioned before, I do love the display of Superman's powers where he's like, yeah, I can see radio waves, which like, you know, such a rad little concept. But
exactly, and this is what it really it ratchets up, because it's even almost an homage to an old Spider-Man scene where he's putting his Clark Kent in the outfit in the garbage there, like that's the only one he has. Right? But yeah, silly. But he says, I don't know. It's just it isn't rational. It's just, well, if the nuisances from my past are coming back as killers, what happens when the killers come back?
Yeah,
and that's what's scary.
That was I told you before we started the stream. I'd taken some notes, and that was the quote that I actually wrote down. So you and I are on the same page.
Anytime you have a note, let me know, man. Just jump in there.
No, I'm on like I said, I'm right there with you, brother. Because like you said, if these were nuances before, what happens when the real killers come back? And that is a terrifying, you know, exclamation point and question mark type of way to end that panel. Is like, it really makes you think like, man, this is a final issue. Right. So really kind of heartbreaking, but.
And let me be clear about this. I wouldn't normally endorse a story that goes this dark, even with the art, especially with this art that doesn't belie such a story, if it wasn't a finale, and if, you know, and again, if it wasn't being produced to us as a, look, we're never going to get any kind of closure to this character because he's totally, the Byrne version is nothing like this version at all. He's not the same character, in my opinion. So I don't mind them having a finality to that character if he's got to end, and he was ending. Other than that, I mean, if this were just done, I don't know, it's more like an Elseworlds in that sense. So as an Elseworlds, I'm fine with it. I wouldn't want them to just like be doing the regular series and have just an issue where everybody characters start acting really horrible and violently out of character. And of course, we find out why later. But yeah,
yes,
See, there's a special reason for it here. Guess why? It's why I don't mind it. Ordinarily, I don't like things to go this dark with character or with stories from this type of comic book, if you see, or genre, if you see what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I like some dark comics. I love Watchmen. This Superman never really needs to be Watchmen. It shouldn't be deconstructive anyway. But did not deconstruct anything with this. This is still not deconstruction. He is adding a dark edge to it without deconstructing superheroes or villains.
Absolutely, because Superman still acts within his character if he were to be presented with these like issues. So I still think it's within the realm of possibility that he may take these certain actions, and so I understand it from that perspective. And you were kind of talking about Watchmen before. I think Watchmen is great for what it is, but it needs to stay there because if you start bringing that same deconstruction, because after Watchmen, like every writer was trying to do that same type of trope, and then we saw every superhero get deconstructed. So then we didn't even have any heroes. So yeah, for what Watchmen was, I think it was brilliant. But then afterwards, it just it needed to stay there in that realm. And I think with this Superman comic, I think it did, like you said, nothing was deconstructed to the extent of ruining characters. And I actually felt more reverence toward a lot of these characters, and I think they were done well enough to where I was very surprised and very like what's the right word? I just felt good about some of their actions. Like later in Action Comics 583, just how some of Superman's friends responded and reacted was very. They had like an arc, like a character arc of redemption and all this stuff. So, but we'll get into that later. You can go on because this is a great scene.
It is a great scene. Now, Pop Culture Republic, yes, as I was explaining, this is a dark comic. And again, that's not belied by the art. It's totally the story's darker than the art would lead you to believe. But again, it was a final farewell to a character, and I've never said Superman shouldn't have a dark story, as I was talking earlier. I'm saying you just don't darken Superman to do it. And that's what this doesn't do. Although he does do something, which we'll get to later, but he always abides by his own rules, though, and he holds himself accountable. We'll get to that later. Steve Mitchum, good to see you, brother. Yes, the art is by Kurt Swan, inked by the great George Perez. I wish they'd done 50 Superman comics like that. That looked Perez inking Swan. Oh my God, man! But anyway, let's see here. So yes, you have Luthor and finding Brainiac. This was a couple of years after Brainiac had turned into this version of him. The green alien, the Koluan, had kind of changed for a while. This was the Marv Wolfman, Gil Kane designed new Brainiac that they. And it was kind of for Superpowers toys. They kind of used that Brainiac. But anyway, I thought it was kind of funny when he finds him and he thought Brainiac was dead, meaning Luthor. And then Luthor takes over his body. It was really scary stuff back then. Because he said Brainiac. Remember the old Luthor Brainiac team? Oh, we were such good pals. And he said, and then of course when he walks away now, I give you the new Luthor Brainiac team.
It's so creepy how he's telling him, you will move your left foot, right now, move your left or your right foot, yes. And you really just see that how creepy it is that Luthor has been completely just taken over by Brainiac. So well done.
Yeah, scary stuff. It was pretty scary. And then of course we move on. We're back to Metropolis where they're attacked by a strange army of Metallos.
Yeah. With their chest grappling hooks, so great.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Again, the art's just terrific, and I love this. Moore can make the simplest thing, the simplest trope, brilliant. He has Lois is narrating. She said, "What happened next? All the had all the familiarity of a recurring dream. I was falling in a violet comet was falling alongside me. The reds and blues run together. You see, that's how it looks like, the violet comet. But I mean, again, that's happened to her a million times. Old WGBS when they were on TV. And I just love how he just finds a very goofy Superman solution to the problem. It creates a magnet and brings them all in. And
it's beautiful that Lois is kind of because she's almost giving like a eulogy to this journalist. So I really
Yes.
actually I appreciate that they had Lois as the one kind of talking and going through the last days of him, because yeah, you get those beautiful little scenes where she goes, the blue and the red run together, and that violet is what I remember seeing, that reoccurring violet color. And it really, like,
Yes.
you know, it's taking something that's happened hundreds of times, but just really making it that much more impactful by the writing. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I liked a little bit earlier than that too when someone said use the watch and Jimmy said I did. You just didn't hear it. No one can hear it but
yeah,
him.
yeah, so
The little
good,
things, the
so
little
good.
things that you love. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um and again, I am a sucker for Superboy. Okay. I'm a Superboy, a Silver Age, Bronze Age Superboy freak. So when I'm reading this comic for the first time and now 50 something years later and all the other times I've read it in between, the page that opens up with Crypto showing up in at the fortress. He takes all of his friends to the fort.
yeah.
He takes all of his friends to the Fortress of Solitude. And when Crypto shows up, yeah, I get a little misty. I can't help it. I'm not crying. You're crying. And then what the kids say? Yeah, I'm. I love me some Crypto, man. I love me some good old days like that. Indeed,
There's
Mordog.
I forget if it's in this issue or the next one, but there's a moment where Superman has a nice little you know, talk with Crypto, and
Yes,
we'll
later.
get to it, but yeah, just
Oh,
really brings tears to your eyes for sure,
I
especially
love
for
it.
dog owners. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There he is. And he's parrying.
yeah,
I
yep.
like
There it
again. A
is.
lot of people, if they're reading or modern Superman comics or watching modern iterations, like where Lois and Clark are married and all this other kind of stuff, they don't understand that for 40 something years, Lois, was at odds with Lana, and the two of them. I was always a Lana fan out of the two, to be honest, but she's a redhead. What can I do? But I love. I don't know. I just loved these scenes here where they're all kind of realizing that their rivals are kind of beside the point now. They like she said here, we both loved him, and we're both scared, and he was going to die. Just that was it. They were united because they're just. But it comes down to it that all of them really love Superman for all the things he's done, and he unites people. And
Yeah.
any notes? Oh, you did it again.
Um,
Not on
I
this
was gonna
thing.
say the like, as I'm looking at these pages again, because I told you and chat, you guys know we read this before we came on tonight, just to really really go over everything. But we're starting to get this like tone from the comic, and in my opinion, you know, films do tone really well, where you can feel the tone of a movie, and it's whether it's darker or it's lighter, or the tone of hope, or the tone of you know, finality, or whatever it is. And this comic has a tone to it, which you don't really get in a lot of comics, because it's tough to do that on paper. You know, it's much easier to do that with, you know, film or music, but to do it
Yes.
with this storytelling medium of comic books really just shows you how much talent was, and time and talent was put into this book, because there's you come away with a certain tone of this kind of, like I said, I keep using the phrase finality, but it really is kind
Yes,
of
it
that
was.
feeling. So
Absolutely. And this is for you, LT. This scene just gets me right in the what do the kids call it? The feelies, the
right
fees.
in the feels, yeah.
Right in the, I hate that feel so much. I'd rather say fifis almost. My fifis, because dude, the Legion just means so much to me. And this is the Silver Age iteration. It's kind of funny that the Silver Age Legions would come and meet the Bronze Age Superman, but there you have it, and come to see him. But it's a beautiful scene. But they bring Supergirl, of course, at the time, who was regularly hanging out with the Legion, just as Superboy was, and he's kind of at this point she's dead
Mhm.
because she died in Crisis.
Right.
And it's kind of disturbing for him to see a younger version of it. He's pissed off at Brainiac 5 for doing that. We don't know why right now, why the Legion thought it necessary. We find out.
Yeah, and she even mentioned, she's like, man, don't, isn't it weird how, if I'm in one dimension, does that mean that that my past self should be, yeah, LT, the you guys are legionnaires or Legion
Yeah, big Legion fan.
fans for sure. Um and yeah, she says, references like, if I'm in one dimension, does that mean that my past self was in a different
in the
dimension?
past.
Because
Yeah,
both
or
of
different
us,
time,
can't
or different time. You mean
exactly, because I
Yes.
guess we would, our essence, our being would essentially dismantle, and we wouldn't exist because of two beings in one dimension or whatnot. And so Superman kind of has to say, yeah, you're off on another world, or off on another dimension, and you'll be back soon and everything. And like you said, that's when he kind of pulls Brainiac 5 to the side and is like, hey man, what the hell are you trying to do?
Well, I'm just glad that they found the way around her super hearing when Superman and Brainiac 5 are whispering to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Oops. No super hearing
Yeah.
for Supergirl on that one. That's fine though.
She was distracted by Crypto. Yeah.
I guess they were both. Crypto was helping them with it. Eric K for $2. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. I really appreciate that. He says, "Don't let him fool you. Clobby has fifis." No, I don't. I have no feelings whatsoever. None.
Hail Eric K.
Eric K, the bronze surfer. Appreciate you, bro. But yeah, seeing this scene, of course, was great. Just again, as a Legion fan, and he doesn't really understand why they give him this statue, but he will. And it was kind of a bizarre that it was being done that way. But again, that last panel. This is one of the most. If I ever do a show, and now I'm thinking about, I might do like, well, when I do like favorite splash pages or something like that. I mean, I'd give anything to have the original art of this page, but or just a poster of this in color like this. This is one of the greatest pieces of comic book art to me ever done, because of my love for Superman and the Fortress and Crypto, all wrapped into one. It looked as if he'd been crying. End of chapter 1, of course.
God, it's funny because every time I reread this and I come to this splash page, there has not been a time I haven't teared up, because it's like you said, you've got Crypto who's kind of comforting his protector, and this is like one of the most vulnerable times we've seen Superman. And even like the page layout, how everything is kind of pointing in toward, like, as a graphic designer, you're kind of wondering, okay, how do we really make this more impactful? And all of the things surrounding Superman are kind of pointing in towards him. So your eye goes directly towards him and Crypto. But yeah, just a beautiful layout.
I love it. And that's in the end of chapter 1, which was, of course, Superman number 423. Then you have Superman, Action Comics 583. Something on further, it's not Perez, and of course it continues with the interview. But I thought Kurt Schaffenberger, another guy who's a Superman and Superboy staple, so he's a legend in those characters. I thought he did it, considering he's not George Perez. This is a great opening page, and I think he did a fine job. I mean, I would rather have had maybe a Dal Williamson or a Murphy Anderson do it, because Murphy Anderson's probably my favorite inker on Swan. But I love Kurt Schaffenberger. I think he did a good job on this page, especially on this page right here.
Do you and maybe this is just me, and maybe I was looking at it differently, but do you notice a lot of darker, thicker lines on inking with Perez in the previous issue?
Yes.
Okay. I maybe it's just me and my artistic style. I prefer the thicker, darker inks on pages, and so I think that's why I'm a little biased. But you're right. He I can't pronounce his name, but Kurt does do a great job of inking. Yes, yeah, thank you.
He was very old at this time. Thing is, By the way, talk about chills. Superman burning the golden key to the fortress kills me.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah,
but see, Perez is a penciler. He doesn't not known as an inker. So when he gets to ink the greatest Superman penciler of all time, in my opinion, Swan, he went crazy on. I don't know if Swan did just lighter layouts and let Perez just go wild, but whatever it was, I love it. But our buddy who knows way more about comics art than I'll ever know, Hungry Boy, his name is Hungry for Respect to Kal-El to Return, says he hates the inking. Not a Schaffenberger fan, no brother. Sorry. To be honest, I was never the biggest. I like Schaffenberger. He and Swan were very similar. I like as a penciler. I mean, he's a very kind of another one of those pencilers who's very clean styled. I wouldn't say polished at all. It's very simplistic style, but I kind of like that as
right.
well. I liked him on the Shazam comics. It's Captain Marvel comics, really, but it was Shazam was the title, and I liked him on New Adventures of Superboy. Not the most exciting of an artist like a Perez or someone like that, but I thought he was pretty good. But I thought he did a decent job on these inks. But I don't look. I defer to Hungry any day because he knows this kind of stuff, and I bet he knew Kurt Schaffenberger. But it was different. Look, dude, if I'd had my druthers, I would have wanted Perez to do both parts. He was very busy at the time. He was working on Titans. He was working on he was still on New Teen Titans at the time, I believe. He'd been working on a lot of stuff. While this was going on, he was probably still doing some of the Crisis crossovers and stuff like that. So
I was gonna say he was probably doing some Crisis covers as well as interiors for a lot of different things. So yeah, he was probably swamped by the time
he
this came out.
he was probably mostly done with Crisis when they started drawing this, but he still had a lot of other stuff to do. So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
if I my timing right. Hungry said Schaffenberger before 1971. Yeah, I love him, but not here. No, I got you, man. Well, it's not Perez, dude. There's no question about there's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah.
But the story's the thing in this case. In fact, I like that first page. Then as time went on here, it's not that good. However,
It's
it was interesting to see that Legion of Supervillains, though. Go ahead. Okay.
yeah, it's funny how we see these guys show up, Legion of supervillains. They just kind of, they want to get credit for the killing of Superman without actually even doing anything. They're just like, hey, we heard, yeah, we heard that in the timeline this happened, so we figured we'd stop by. Just such a bunch of punks.
Yeah, that's why they're villains. Bunch of jerk offs.
Yep. Exactly.
Villains it's almost like villains are jerks or something.
Yeah, how weird is that? Villains are actual villains in
villains
this.
Are actually jackasses.
Yeah. They don't have they don't have some sort of reasoning, or they don't. Well, they have reasoning, but it's always evil. It's always an ill will against Superman or against people. It's not oh, I'm just misunderstood. It's like, no, these are villains, and it's great.
Yep, exactly. How about that, huh? I was again. You can see where Swan was never really the kind of guy that to draw Batman. He always never was that great at Batman. Of course, Schaffenberger, but they didn't need it to because it's not in it. He's not in it that much. Oh, hello there, Catman D.D. Myers, and you take care. Rabbit Slug Ouchies, and I'm sorry I messed up your name there, but thank you so much for being here. But yes, I love that they put Superwoman and Vortox here for some reason. Vortox, of all people. Mr. Zardoz himself.
I didn't even notice that until I'm looking at it now, realizing, yeah, wait a second. But yeah, that is pretty interesting because you've got let's see, you've got Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Shazam, or at the time Captain Marvel. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two up top, I was wondering who those were. So,
well, the lady is Superwoman, but she's called Superwoman. She is actually from the future, and
Gotcha.
They need to fill that name out. She popped in DC Comics for just a little bit. But the guy at the top is a guy. He used to be Superman's enemy, but they became friends. Is Vartox. He has fairly similar powers to Superman, and you can't see him here. But if you ever see a movie called Zardoz with Sean Connery, they actually based his visual look on that, and wow, you get to see him one other time in this comic. But Yes, he's just. I like Bartox though.
That's a great question, LT. I would have. I'm wondering where Hal and Barry are as well. Maybe Hal is taking care of Space Sector 2814 somewhere else, but you'd kind of
Yeah,
think they'd be there.
they show a couple of heroes later. This is a pretty interesting scene again when you get into the Superman family of it, where uh, Lana and Jimmy decide to go. This is homage to the Silver Age when they used to have superpowers. They
Hmm.
every now and then they would he would be Elastic Lad and stuff like that, and she did a couple of different characters back then, in the old days. With this one, she's got that pool where she bathes in to get her superpowers and stuff.
Yeah, this
So
was. I never saw this coming, and I think it's probably just because I I haven't read as much Silver Age as I have Bronze and modern stuff, but the seeing them both get their powers here was actually, like I said before, was such a cool kind of little arc for them. Because I love that what she says. Nobody loved him better than us. Nobody.
That gives me
Yeah.
that chokes me up inside every time because I love Lois and I mean, like you said, Lois. Sorry, Lana, don't leave me. I love you, Lana.
No.
I love Lana and I love Jimmy, and they're part of that. Again, Cam, good to see you, buddy. Exactly. This always got to me. Alan Moore, obviously loved reading these comics as a kid. He's talked about it, and that's true. Lana Lang was Superwoman also, but Lana.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that line, like you say, gets me. Nobody loved her better than us. Nobody.
Yeah, because that was after right after that she had used her super hearing to listen to Superman, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she heard him admitting. There he is, right there, admitting to Perry that he loved Lois. He loved Lana as a kid, but he loves Lois now. She's the woman for him. But he could never tell her. He could never hurt Lana. He loves Lana so much he could never hurt her.
And
this is getting darker and darker.
Yeah, it's beautifully tragic,
It really is. It's good.
Or tragically beautiful.
That too. And here's where again it gets pretty dark. She goes after Kryptonite Man. It's like I love how he can't hurt her because Kryptonite doesn't bother her. But Lex and Lana grew up together in Smallville. They knew each other. And I love how, again, you got this fight going on, and he doesn't want to be controlled by Brainiac, and he begs Lana to kill him. And See, he doesn't say Miss Lana because he knew her as a kid. Lana, please kill me.
Yeah. It really added that.
Lana, do it now, please do it now. Whew, man.
It really added that personal touch by him using her first name, really like just making it that much more impactful that Lex was in so much pain that he had to humble himself and essentially humiliate himself to say, you have to kill me because I can't live like this, pretty insane.
Yeah. Luther is so independent that way. So again, getting dark. No, did you have any notes, by the way? Anytime you have one, throw it out there, man.
No, I'm adding on to everything that you're saying. So I'm all caught up on my notes. So thank you.
I gotcha. It's getting dark.
And that's for sure.
Piece of crap Met Rand's Lightning Lord murders Lana. That piece of oh man, I'm so mad right now. You murdering scum, says Lo. And again, they killed Jimmy. Damn it, man. This story's messed up. There's no question about it, folks. But I can accept it as an Elseworlds type thing. Because, hey, it was almost a metaphor for what they were doing to the super. What Moore's doing here is another reason I accept it is because it really is a metaphor for what DC was doing to the Superman mythos. This story right here, it's not just senseless carnage. This is more talking about this is what you guys do when you retcon, when you revise, and when you change and reboot and all this crap. You're murdering this lore. And I am pissed, Cam. I love this story because it's doing that. I'm pissed at the reason why they had to do this story because of what Byrne did to the Superman mythos. I love the story, even though it is sad.
It's almost like you said, it's a metaphor that the Legion of supervillains would come in from the future, because it's almost like he's saying what you're going to do with the future of DC is killing the past. So it is that kind of juxtaposition between, future and past and present and all this stuff. So it is very reminiscent of what is going on at DC at this time.
That's true. I mean, it's
Yeah.
produce the future. Yeah. I mean, to me, that was commentary on what was going on even then. Because, see, revisionism in a bad light, anyway, in a bad way, it started around with Crisis and things like that. And this, with the Byrne reboot, it was starting to get out of hand. And that was, I mean, Alan Moore just kind of was saying so. He's just not this maybe one of the first times he did something that talked about revisionism in comics, but not the last. Because I've read other things he's done that talk like that. But what's interesting here is dead, but who? And of course, it was Luther. I'm gonna see if I can assimilate what his voice would sound like. Who do you suppose I am? Brainiac. No, I'm just kidding. But it's funny, like Bruce Luther's dead, but he's animating his dead body.
This was so. I remember when I first read this, and I was like, "Okay, now we're getting into some crazy territory. Like, what is happening?" Because
Right.
you're essentially getting like zombie Lex being powered by Brainiacs. Just another one of those really creepy. Like, man, this is really going for it here. So,
And yes, and as Kryptonite Man points out, Brainiac, something's wrong. If Olsen wrecked the generator, why is the force field? Why is the force screen collapsed yet? Basically,
yeah.
and there's the other heroes. They still can't get in. Analysis, you are correct. Earth's champions remain outside. Some unknown force maintains them. Sorry, everyone. And perhaps in destiny, in any eventuality, we must make use of it. While this fluke situation endures, because they don't know why. Something's holding them out. Something's holding them out of there. Prepare for a nuclear strike. Our assault begins. And
now this. I think it isn't this one. It's I think it's the next page after that where really we were talking about tear jerkers earlier. What Kryptonite Man does is just heinous. I couldn't bear to watch.
This scene right here got me.
Yeah.
You want to talk about tearjerker?
Yeah.
Look at the ferocity of Crypto.
Yeah.
Where is he? Come on, Kryptonian. You can, let's see. Your rat hole's been breached. You can't escape me now. And also, Kryptonite Man. And again, Kryptonite Man started as a Superboy villain, but anyway, when Crypto attacks him, he knows he can't survive an attack against Kryptonite Man. And he knew he was killing himself by attacking him. He's turning green. I mean, I was about to lose it. Then you see that sound effect, snop.
Oh,
kills him.
And you see the blood. Yeah, you see the blood running from his throat. Because I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming that Crypto just bit the hell out of his neck, just tore his jugular. Yeah.
Yep. Save his boss. I mean, it's brutal stuff.
Yeah.
It's disturbing.
And it really, it's a beautiful. It's disturbing, but it's a beautiful sacrifice by Crypto. I mean, Crypto really came in, clutch in that moment. He really was a hero.
I don't know. I think something was. Look, I love all the remains. All this crashed remains in the and in the if you look in here in the fortress, and there's Nightwing and Flamebird, basically. Clark, Kal-El and Jimmy as they when it would go into the bottle city of Kandor, but he's flying through the fortress, and apparently he sees the Legion of Supervillains, and he not only finds out what happened to Lana. You hurt Lana? That he just goes off with the heat vision.
This was I was like,
burn me. And what's her face? Saturn Queen reads his mind, says his mind isn't bluffing, he's prepared to kill.
That was the line that did it for me. I was like, oh man, this is badass.
Couldn't Crypto crawl to safety? He was too infected by the Kryptonite, man. He's unfortunately there, Matthew.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just brutal. Yeah, and then you've got they figured, yeah, let's go back to our centuries. We're gonna get our, no point in messing with him. And
Mhm.
now Luther. Let's see here. There was only one
Yeah,
foe left to face. Analysis,
the good
stiffening,
old
random difficulty. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
the good old rigor mortis starts to kick in
Yep.
here. Yep.
He still he just wants to stop to kill Superman, but this just finally, boom, it was over. No more Brainiac. And I love how he's got to deduce what's going on. And it's just crazy. I don't like this. There are too many loose ends.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do appreciate that that Lois is the one that kind of points out here, because she's looking at the statue and they're trying to figure out like what could um oh well I guess this is later on in the story, but at this moment this is where I had a new appreciation for the villain that's about to be introduced. And it's
Yeah.
such a really cool take about, the 2000 years of this type of life, and then 2000 years of this type of life. And now he's on to this new
Right.
road or this new path, and it's just haunting. Really, really cool.
He's Superman figures it out
Mhm.
and goes, and says to their son, of course, Bizarro, the prankster, Toyman, Metallo, Brainiac, Kryptonite Man, the Legion of Supervillains. There's only one name missing, isn't there? And I know you're there, Mixius Pitalik. Come out and show yourself. And Lois is just disgusted. Ugh. But then she's probably thinking this must be a joke, then, right? Can this all be a joke?
Yeah.
Well, so you finally guessed it. Greetings, Superman, from the fifth dimension. He says, but don't be naive, Superman. I'm an immortal like everyone in the fifth dimension. The big problem with being immortal is filling your time. For example, I spent the first 2,000 years of my existence doing nothing. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Eventually, simple inertia became tiresome. So I spent the next 2,000 years being saintly and benign, doing only good deeds. When that novelty began to fade, I decided to try being mischievous. Now, 2,000 years later, I'm bored. Again, I need a change. Starting with your death, I shall spend the next 2 millennia being evil. After that, who knows? Perhaps I'll try being guilty for a while. Then he says, did you honestly believe a fifth dimensional sorcerer would resemble a funny little man in a derby hat? Would you like to see how I really look? That's just
That was so cool. Like for me, I like that because you had this goofy character, similar to a lot of the characters that were introduced, like Toyman and Bizarro. But
all
then,
goofy. Yep.
yeah, and then to have such a hauntingly evil outlook of, well, for the next 2000 years, I'm going to be, the not just mischievous but villainous. And you see this his true form, which is like so horrendous, this like 7 foot tall or 10 foot tall, whatever he says, I forget. But yeah, it really makes it makes you much more appreciative of the character of that villain, because you think, man, he can do any, like he just essentially, from being from the fifth dimension, he can control anything right now, so you don't know what he can do. He's, his powers could be limitless at this point. But
Yeah, well, because Mitch Spitalik, yeah, like you say, if he could just, make things, conjure things at will, there's very little he can't do. And that's
mm,
pretty powerful. And Superman's realizing that. And
mhm.
he realizes that, well, oops, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble. And Superman, uh, you can't just, what's he supposed to do? Alan Moore believed that Superman shouldn't kill, but what's he supposed to do? So he finds, let's see, he turns on he realizes that the golden statue that was given to him by the Legion has him holding the Phantom Zone projector. So he blasts him with the Phantom Zone projector, And he says his name backwards to get away from him, which he has to say it's Kill Tip Zixum is what he has to say backwards. Yes, I can say it. I don't know why, but I can. Not many people can say Kill Tip. I'd be surprised if a few people could say Mixius Pitalik or Kill Tip Zixum. It's amazing. I don't know why. Why me? I don't know. So, that terrible scream as he torn in half between dimensions. He panicked when he saw the ray and made a fatal error. Just as I knew he would, I killed him, Lois. I intended to kill him. I just couldn't risk letting anything that powerful and malignant survive, so I made up my mind and I did it. I broke my oath and I killed him. She says, but you had to. You haven't done anything wrong. So yes, I have. Nobody has the right to kill. Not Miss Yospitalik, not you, not Superman. And these words are haunting right here, especially not Superman. In 2013, when I wrote my review of that piece of maggot-infested filth called Man of Steel by Pat Snyder, I entitled my review "Especially Not Superman." That was the name of the review, and it was
nice.
Yes, it was pretty nutty because it was about 10 billion words long. Still have it somewhere, and basically I cited this story, and it was a double entendre. This movie is especially not Superman, and especially Superman does not have the right to kill. However, that's him judging himself, by the way. Everyone, you and I, we all go, hey, that's some, and Lois, that sucker needed to die. And I'm for him dying. But Superman still set that rule for him, realized that the rule was not good in this case. However, as the story goes on, he paid the price. This is a dark story that has no point to it if he doesn't hold himself to his own standards and punish himself for breaking his own rule.
Well, look at there's an incredible quote earlier by Lois when she's narrating this whole thing, and she says about Superman, "Why is it that the noblest people are the ones most troubled by conscience?" And it really echoes and reigns true for Superman, one of the noblest people on Earth, on Krypton, whatnot, and always troubled by his conscience that he could potentially not save everyone or that he might kill someone. So it really reigns true with that quote.
Yes, and before we continue, just a little bit more about Mixius Pitalik. I love Alan Moore, as you know. Alan Moore can sometimes be a bit derivative in his writing. This character of Mixius Pitalik, this idea was not his own. There was a book
interesting
in the late 70s. There was a novel in the late 70s called Super Folks by Robert Mayer. This book called Super Folks by Robert Mayer is let me just put it to you like this. It's a novel about, it's kind of a comedy novel about putting superheroes in the real world and deconstructing them, but it more of in a comedy way. But and it has all these different real life superheroes and fake superheroes and fantasy characters. But basically, what the bad guy of it is pretty much similar is basically Mixius Pitalik, and the same basic thing happens. He becomes evil. So Moore did kind of take from that. Just saying. And he's mentioned Super Folks in his interviews before, so I'm not speculating. He did, and it's obvious if you've ever read Super Folks. It's an interesting book. It's a weird book. It's a rough read, but it's from it was famous at the time.
Man, that's a great callback and great pull. I can't believe you remembered that and also had that ready to go.
I have that book.
That's pretty incredible. Oh wow!
I still have a copy of the book. But it's called Super Folks. It's weird, wild stuff. There was a lot of crazy crap back then. But more to his credit, he's talked about Super Folks. He didn't say he ripped this scene from it, but he's mentioned it in books, so we know he's read the book. So all right, that's all. Hey, I love Alan. I'm just saying. So we get an epilogue. Of course, it was just so sad. All these people, what are you doing to me? Come on, man. I'm almost done in comicology. Wouldn't it be much? I don't know what's wrong with this thing. It hasn't really done this that much before till lately. I don't know about you, but I use it a lot.
I wonder if it's it could be also maybe my Wi-Fi that's slowing things down as well. I don't know,
No, this did it to
but
me today when did the same thing to me today when I was rereading it.
um,
So he's being interviewed again. We finished the interview, and we do find out because she said Superman was just seen. They all thought Superman was seen somewhere. She was asked. She was asked. Lois was asked, "What about what about rumors that Superman might still be alive somewhere?" She says, "Oh, that's probably wishful thinking or whatever." And then, of course, you get the fun Silver Age, Bronze Age type of a comic book ending, where you see their little baby Jonathan is playing
yep.
with a lump of coal.
And then something comes out of his hands, and you go,
Yeah.
"Wait a second."
Oops.
Yeah.
Please, someone in the
Now,
chat tell me that they've heard of Super Folks. Just make me feel less old. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, so do you think in this last panel, because obviously we see, I think his name was Jordan. They called
Yeah,
him Jordan Elliott.
Jordan Elliott.
So Jordan's winking at the at the reader, and Lois is in the back. Is she kind of taking her dress off a bit there? Do I see the
I
the
do
side, the
believe so.
shoulder? Okay, all right. I wanted to see that I wasn't insane.
I do believe so. There's hello there, Apollome's minion. Good to see you, my dear. You saw it in the bookstore. That's good enough, Steve. At least I'm not the only one. Jordan, of course. I guess that's got to be Jor-El.
Yeah.
Elliot L. Jor-El. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
So,
good call.
But yeah, that's sneaky Alan Moore. So
no, that's good. That's smart.
So overall, your basic overall, we've gone through the whole story and everything. What is your basic if you had to review it? Give it like a since we're just the first one we've done together. How about we do a rating scale? Like if we were talking about movies or whatever, what do you basically rate this story? You go 1 to 10, the basic 1 to 10. If you got one, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Yeah, no, that's tough to say. I don't know if LT says 10. He doesn't even need to think about it. It's a automatic 10. It's funny because as I read it more, as I like I'll read it multiple times over. And the more that I read it, the more I appreciate it, which means that it really is a piece of art. I've read comic books before where I've enjoyed them, for their action, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm like, oh man, that was so like this is a 10 out of 10 comic, but the returnability isn't as great because you know what's going to happen, or it's just a lot of action or whatnot. But this one you can continue to go back to it, and kind of like a film, the rewatchability of it is countless. You can continue to always glean something from it that you didn't when you first read it. So just for that fact alone, I think this has got to be like a 9 at least, a 9 out of 10, just because of the reverence towards the character, the classic nature of it, the brilliant storytelling, the great writing. The only reason why I don't think I can give it a 10 is because I feel like the art kind of drops off a bit in action, but that's me nitpicking. I shouldn't, nitpick such a great story, but I think that's kind of where I land on this one. It really is one of the, like, if you're a Superman fan, I think this is an essential part of your collection. I'll say a 9 out of 10, Kloppy. I think that's where I
got you. I actually thought that's where you're wrong, LT. It is in my top 10, and I give it a 10.
Nice.
I don't think Gibbons did anything in this one, Hungry Boy, but Gibbons did it the other one that we're going to review soon. I go 10. It's in my top 10. It's probably like number 10 or 9 of my once I make my top 10 list, because it did the impossible. It told an ending that I never wanted to happen, and yet had me thoroughly riveted. I absolutely almost give it a point deduction like you do for the ink in the second issue. I really if you just would have been so nice if Perez could have inked both issues, but I don't let that. But then the story really ramps up in the second one. So as good as the first one is, that's mostly the setup. I think the story really ramps up in the second one. So that kind of pushes it over for me.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a
So
good point.
so that kind of equals it out a little bit, just for me personally. So I guess, yeah, I go with a 10, and it definitely is a top tenner there, Mister Mister. What's your name again? LT? No, just kidding. No, yes. LT. Nah, Lord. So there, because he's always teasing me about my top 10 when we do it with Star Trek episodes and stuff. So
It's
yeah.
Yeah, no matter what it is, whether it's comics or movies or shows, getting a top 10 is pretty difficult. Getting a top 5 is near impossible, but getting a top 10, is you can get some good ones in there. But you for all those reasons that you have mentioned as well, like you said, it was an impossible story to tell. Like this should have never been
No.
it should have never been and could never have been told, and yet somehow they made it work, and they told it, and that alone is a feat in itself, which is really really says a lot for the creators, the editors, just everyone involved in this thing. But like you said, it unfortunately it did have to happen. But if it were to happen, this is how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do love it, and I have loved it for a long time. When it came out, it was, again, it's bittersweet. It affects you the way a top notch comic book or any other piece of drama should affect you, though. So let's see what some of our friends say.
Yeah.
Pop Culture Republic says a 10. This was a cool story. 10. Let's see here. Not quite a top 10 or Globby. Yes, it is, LT. Yes, it is, buddy. Hungry. Hungry Jack says 10 out of 10 to the Swan issue. And the Gibbons did the other Superman story you're thinking of, buddy, but that's cool. Let's see here. Matthew Pounder, 10 of 10. D-Bud, 9 of 10. Hungry says 6 of 5 for the Schaffenberger material. Poor old Kirk Schaffenberger. That's brutal, buddy. 10,
yeah, that's brutal, yeah.
Let's see here. I have a top 10 comic stories of all time. There may be a Legion story or two in there. Hey, Thoth, we should do. Yeah, I've been many years ago with a friend. I did my top 10 all time comic stories on the show back on the old days. I mean, like 10 years ago, whatever it is now. This story is an all time classic, made better if you know Superman's history. 10 out of 10 for the great Mark D with a C. Absolutely, buddy. And it was a little bit easier to pick my 10 back then. It's a long time ago. Not that anything didn't, but I guarantee you, almost no stories come on to even get close to that list. But I don't know if I would want to change it or not now. But I went back to start messing with it a few months ago, and I realized I'm going to do it again soon. I'm going to do my top 10, but then I'll go, that's not enough. Maybe I need to do 20. Then I end up, maybe I need to do 25. No, 20. So I may do a top 20 favorite comic stories list soon. So, which I that's the thing I get picked on a lot for here. Like some people, MVP, they say, all you have to do is list shows. Well, this wasn't a list tonight, but I enjoy the list shows. They're a lot of fun because they're great fodder for conversation.
Oh, absolutely, and it gives a lot of the chat and a lot of fans that listen. It gives them an opportunity to either say, "Hey, I know that show. Yeah, I love that as well." Or if they haven't heard of it, they can go, "Oh my gosh, you know what? Maybe I should check that out now." So, kind of gives both perspectives.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. 20 it is.
I will. What's up?
I was saying 20 it is. I was telling a thought. Go ahead.
I will say the panel that you and I spoke of, the splash page at the end of the Superman issue of Superman and Crypto, like I want a huge poster of that in my room and everything.
Yes.
That page alone probably gives that issue for me a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so iconic, and I nothing has come close to the emotion that is felt in that scene and how impactful that is. So I will say that I think that is a really really enlightening, kind of impactful moment for comics in general, like in just the collecting hobby, the passion of comics. When that panel hit, it was really impactful for a lot of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we need to do it again sometime. If you figure out? I mean, we could even do it with the other more story if you want, or the other two. It's up to you, of course. But then we can
Yeah,
finish out this book
for
if you
sure.
want.
Yeah. So yeah, because those are the last two issues in this one, and I'd have to reread those again because man, yes, the
Yeah,
artwork for Swamp Thing is really cool in this. But so yeah, we I would love to do that, and we
let's
can
do it.
yeah, we can talk offline and figure out a date and everything, and chat. If you guys have anything that you'd like Clobby and I to review, let me know because I always learn so much when I'm on here. So if you guys have any other stories that you think I should read or that we should go over, let me know because this stuff is always really fun for me to go through. Because yeah, I'm 28, Clobby, so I probably would have been one of those kids buying comics from you.
You might have been. Might have been. That's cool, man. And I don't know. Even that might. No, you know what? You wouldn't have been old enough. You're younger
Oh,
than my
maybe,
son,
maybe
dude. My son's 32, and he would have been old enough. Of course, he was born when I had a comic shop. So, and I made sure his initials were JLA. So it's Justice League of America. That's how it would be.
It's so great. I love that a lot.
Yes, it means more to me than him. But what the hell? My initials were. Hey, if my initials were JLA, I'd be writing them all over the place. But that's just me.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's why I made my I made my channel just my initials, and no one believes me, but that is my actual name. Yeah.
I love that, dude. You got the coolest initials. I mean, see, I got overruled on his name. I wanted to name him Benjamin Jacob. So after the thing, but his last name wouldn't start with a G though. But if his last name had started with a G, oh, he would have been Ben J. Graham. I would have fought for that one. Or not Graham. I never changed my name to Graham anyway. But yeah, so
yeah.
but
that would have been great.
Yeah, that'd have been great.
But
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say if I ever have kids later on, I have always wondered what Logan Howlett would mean for a name for Wolverine because he's one of my favorites, and I don't think Norrin Rad has a nice appealing name. So unfortunately, Norrin Rad is just very futuristic and might not do well, but I think Logan is a strong name, especially coming from Wolverine. So,
of course, and there've been a lot of parents, a lot of geeks who've named their kids Logan. By the way, so yeah, been quite a few.
Gary's youngest.
Yeah,
I think
right. Gary's youngin is Logan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's see here. What's that? No, Steve, take it easy, brother. Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, I think that's all the time I have for tonight, Clobby. So, yeah. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on, though, man. This has been really, really fun,
dude. I really appreciate it. I hope we get a chance to do it again, man. This has been fantastic. You are excellent at this, sir. You're a great broadcaster, and you are great with comics analysis and stuff. And I'm very impressed with that. You're amazing to talk to, bro, and you're really good at this, buddy. And you have a great channel. Please tell our good friends here about your channel. And if the ones who have not subscribed yet, please do. If we can get that link. Well, the link's in my chat below, of course. But someone wants to throw the link in there, I would appreciate that. What you got going on? And tell them about your channel.
Yeah. So I started the channel about 5 months ago. And it has been nothing but a pleasure to do, like, because I have the opportunity now to do stuff with you, like yourself, Clobby, and then with Nick and LT on Friday. Like we all meet up, and Mark D and everyone, and we talk about this stuff. And I've never had an opportunity like this before to talk so much about something that I love a lot. So if you guys enjoy that type of material, that's exactly what I do on my channel. This week I am actually I'm working on a couple statue reviews. So all these guys behind me are all quarter scale statues, and nice. I'm looking to do a few statue reviews and some just kind of interesting commentary on those, because it's a different aspect of the collecting hobby, but it still involves superheroes and comic books. And so yeah, I want to try that out and see how people respond to that. But the bread and butter of the channel is really just superheroes, comic books, and what makes them great. So yeah, if you guys like that kind of material, I would be happy. It would be my pleasure if you could subscribe and come follow me over there. So
Absolutely. And everyone, he also does great, I think you do great news videos, a lot about the current state of the comics industry and things like that. Is that not correct?
absolutely, yeah. So anytime I see something that I think is either blasphemous towards the material or is deconstruction for the sake of press, or for the sake of virtue signaling, I always try and cover it the best way that I can. Try and get all the information, all the articles, all the different perspectives and points of view, so that I can list out all the information and then give my point across, and see how people respond. Excuse me. So my most recent video that I did that with was actually a Superman comic. So
Oh,
yeah,
Cool.
that is the material that really takes me a while, because I try and I try and really collect as much information as I can before I speak on the topic. So those take me a little bit longer, but I do enjoy those videos because it gives people perspective of, man, look at how far we've come from glory to just deconstruction and awful,
Yes,
like just some of the worst
absolutely.
storytelling I've seen in any medium, not just comic books, but in any medium. I mean, this would never fly in
No,
old Hollywood or novels, um, any of that. And for some reason, comic books is where people have collectively come to find that outlet of, let's just virtue signal, for the sake of pseudo moralistic values, and it's getting very, very tiring. So I try and, as much as I can, I try and make videos on that subject so that people can see, this isn't what this isn't what comics used to be. Um, but I also try and add some positive stuff in there as well, so that it's not all doom and gloom. So
well, I hear you there, man. Well, I love what you do,
yeah,
man, and I hope I get to see you at Nick's soon. And of course, I hope you will
yeah,
come back on and let's knock out let's do both of those two stories, the Jungle Line and for the man who has everything, if you're willing, because I love those stories, and that'll take care of all the Alan Moore soups. So,
yeah, man. Let's do it. That would be so much fun. And
all right. Well,
I appreciate you hosting tonight. It was an excellent, excellent stream. And
thank
yeah,
you.
thank you, chat, for being here and for supporting. It's awesome.
All right, buddy. Take care, man. MVP, everyone. Max Von Priestley.
Thanks, guys. Clobby, see you most likely Friday, right?
I
If you
hope
if you
so. Yes,
can
sir,
make it
buddy.
on next. Okay, cool.
Yes, indeed.
All right, guys. Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Take care, brother.
All right, bye.
Everyone, the great MVP. What a great gentleman there. A lot of fun. That was amazing. Thank you all for participating in that. Had a great time doing that. The thing is picking the comics to review. If this had been a number of months ago, I'd noticed that when we first met, I think we started talking a little bit about Superman, Max and I, and on one of Nick's stream, our buddy Nick's stream. And I don't know exactly how the topic came up, but we did. We somehow eventually started talking about that, and I don't know what it was. I said, "Well, let's just review it one of these days." And one of these days, look, finally became now. So I'm very glad of that. It was good, and yes, I'm going to try to do 2 a month, but if at least one for sure. And I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll probably do them at random. Like eventually, I don't know, but I want it to be classic comics. I want it to be something older, and there's so many. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. And it's easier when you do something like this, which is a two-parter, than when you do like a deep dive on something that was a ton of issues, maybe. But yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not exactly sure, but I can't wait to do the next one. Well, thank you, Cam. Appreciate that. Thank you all. But I got a few more minutes. Just wild card Wednesday, just to mop up, to hang out a little bit. So, you're all just amazing. Just Let's see here. Ba-da-bum-bum. I will send a. Let's see. So. Mark D, if you're busy watching stuff, don't worry about it, bro. But I'll send you the link just in case. If you feel like dropping in for a few minutes, you got it there. But let's see here. LT says we can talk about classic tales that may be good for you to stream about. Yeah, I mean, you name it, man. Name it. Thank you. Appreciate that, Bronze Surfer. Thank you for that, buddy. appreciate you. So you name something. There's so many of them, though, LT. LT, I'd like to talk about the Great Darkness saga with you. So this comic here will be the next. The next one we will talk about will be The Jungle Line. This was Alan Moore's first Superman story from DC Comics Presents number 85. And then the next one we talk about will be For the Man Who Has Everything. There's that dumb era. What is wrong with you, Comicology? Jesus. Straighten up, fly right, boy. Superman Annual number 11. Thank you so much, Hungry. I appreciate you. You're too kind. There's so many. Yeah, well, our buddy Fenrir got in touch with me and asked me to recommend some Legion sagas, and it's tough to think about. I pointed him at the Great Darkness saga, LT. I know that's low hanging fruit. That's the one everyone goes for. But if he doesn't really get all that, and he may not like it, he may like it. But if he doesn't really do much for him, then there's not much point in him looking at any other Legion stuff, probably. But although you never know. But I think he's a smart young feller, and he might enjoy that. So, and I hope he does. Yeah, the one with Mongol. Mongol. Yeah. I'm sure there's some obscure books from the 80s that had limited runs if you were looking for. There's a lot of stuff like that. I want to do some sagas though too. Tim's Talk. Hello there, my friend. Good to see you, buddy. There's some sagas that I want to do as well. I'm not so sure. I got to find out. But when you do a whole series run, you got to have a cutoff point. But this is right here. This was what a great story this is. And I got to be honest with you, I wasn't all that thrilled with how they handled it on the Justice League cartoon. Is that just me? Maybe it's just me. Tail Gunner. How about Sonic Disruptors while you're at it, Matthew Pounder? I was reading an article somewhere, I forgot, in Back Issue Magazine. Remember how Sonic Disruptors never got finished? Yeah, Mike Barron never got to finish that. Yeah, the cartoon was nowhere near as good. Dang them. But just the fact that you remember Tail Gunner Joe. Let me see. I'm going to throw some obscure 80s comics titles at you, Matthew Pounder. And I bet you remember. Remember Electric Warrior? Remember Talos of the Wilderness Sea? Remember, well, this wasn't obscure, but I used to love Gil Kane's Sword of the Atom. Remember, did you buy Atari Force? Robert Meyer Burnett loved Atari Force. What had great art by JL GL. Oh my goodness. Oh, you. Commander Raquel Briggs with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that, dear. I love you. burning in and blowing in and out like a leaf on the wind. I have a ton of snow shoveling to do. Can't stay. Love you, Clobby. Waves to everyone. Well, we love you, Raquel. Be careful out there in that snow. Be careful, and please try to stay warm. Take care. Take it easy, LT. Lord Thoughts running. Good to see you, bro. You have a good one. Take care, man. Obscure. You had Warlock 5. It's funny you mentioned Warlock 5. Claude, who I know you've seen here from time to time, Hungry Boy. I think he had every issue of Warlock 5. I remember it well. What about Dark Tangent? Everyone remember that? Okay, I got a weird one for you. Who bought? Okay, I remember Atari Force and like I said, and Shogun Warriors. Let me go obscure comic shop stuff with you here, like stuff you had to be at a comic shop to get. Who bought Roach Mill? Roach Mill, anyone? How about March Hare? How about Black Zeppelin? Not Black Kiss though. That's shaken. How about Zot? Who bought Zot? Yo, you knew Dark Tangent? Hungry Boy. That's good. That's rare, dude. That's amazing. No, not Roachville. Roach Mill. Roach Mill. It is a disgusting title, but he was just like a part man, part roach guy who was like a bounty hunter type. It was really stupid. It was weird, but I bought some. I'm actually embarrassed for remembering that comic, by the way. What's up, Duder?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Oh, that was a great.
Good to see you, man.
Review.
Oh, thanks, man. We like that. I love that comic.
Yeah, I just reread that on your recommendation, of course, and back when I had DC Ultimate. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's really great read. Yeah,
it was brutal. It was really
brutal. Yeah, you're not expecting that either, too, from
a
Superman comic. So, and I love that the opening, the way Alan Moore says this is an imaginary story. Yeah, but aren't they all? So,
but aren't they all, man? Aren't they all? It's just
that's a great preface. Yeah, so
I should read that again just to give everybody chills.
Really well done. Yep.
Yeah, I loved it. And of course, did you ever read this one? Let's see. We're gonna do this one next.
I don't think
the other two. Well, Moore did 3 stories because the one we did tonight was a 2-parter. So that's one story, right?
Yep.
So he did this one. This was the Superman Annual number 11. They adapted this on the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah, and Mongo's back in the this issue of Action Comics this month, actually.
Yeah, you were talking about that. I think you told me.
Yeah, because I kind of looked at Lego. Yep, so he's back. Yep, the art's actually pretty decent in this issue, I have to say, which is surprising.
This is the first time Moore and Gibbons got together.
I don't think I've read that. That's
really.
Cool.
Throwing this out there, Lucifer, later named Poison Elves. I remember Poison Elves. Say again. Go ahead.
No, you just I've read 15,000 comic books in my life, so I'm trying to remember what as you get older, and then you're like,
I hear you.
It's like, you don't want to say you read something. And
you'd remember this one. This one
I probably haven't
stick
read
with
it.
You.
Yeah.
Well, you watched the Justice League cartoon. You might have seen that episode, but did not realize it was adapted from this.
Probably not. Yeah.
Because as much as I like that cartoon, I don't like that episode because it doesn't do this story justice. I think this is that story we just did. I think this is a better story right here.
This is
believe it or not, I have this higher rated than whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. For the man who has everything.
That's gonna be a tough one to beat. Yeah.
And this was had it fairly cheap on Comixology. This was the trade paperback that had all the Alan Moore stories, all 3 of the Alan Moore stories in there.
So that had Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, this had that in there, and then had the other 2 stories, The Jungle Line from DC Comics Presents number 85, and it had this one, Superman Annual number 11. So
nice. Yeah, well, that's a good comicology pickup. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I think they had it for like $10 or something. So I remember Jim Son of Saturn. If you can't throw out any DC or Marvel titles that I won't remember. You want to stump me? Go for no, you won't stump me with any of the 80s stuff. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you can't stump me with an 80s title, but we can play that game if you want to there, Mr. Matthew Pounder. Try. I didn't like Jim's. I liked Gene Colan, but I didn't really care for Jim Son of Saturn that much. Remember that one? By the way, that was a DC
Which
book.
one? The
Jim Son of Saturn.
No. See, I'm not. I'm out of DC. I was
DC
like I
book.
said, I'm Marvel. Like if you look at my collection, I'm
in
2
the
to
80s.
1, 2 to 1
Oh, I got
Marvel DC. So
I
not
got
that
you.
I don't love some DC stuff, but I just
No.
gravitated towards that. And then later on, I was buying more DC stuff. But
I'm gonna read that again. What the hell? See if I can read it better this time. Because it was too small when I read it last time. All right, shall I do? I'm gonna do it again.
it's
What
big.
the hell? What do you think? You ready?
yeah, go for it.
All right. This is an imaginary story, which may never happen, but then again, may. About a perfect man who came from the sky and did only good. It tells of his twilight, when the great battles were over and the great miracles long since performed, of how his enemies conspired against him, and of that final war in the snow-blind wastes beneath the northern lights, of the women he loved, and of the choice he made between them, of how he broke his most sacred oath, and how finally all of the things he had were taken from him, save for one. So I screwed that line up, sorry, one. It ends with a wink. It begins with a quiet Midwestern town. One summer afternoon in the quiet Midwestern future. Away in the big city, people still sometimes glance up, hopefully, from the sidewalks, glimpsing a distant speck in the sky. But no, it's only a bird, only a plane. Superman died 10 years ago. This is an imaginary story. Aren't they all? Whatever happened to the men of tomorrow? Alan Moore, writer. Gert Swan and George Perez, artist. Todd Klein, inker. Gene D'Angelo, colorist. Julius Swartz, editor. Welcome to Clobbering Times audiobooks. I don't
Good
know.
stuff.
I screwed that up. Damn it. I hate
No, it's all good.
Oh,
It's
but
all
it was
good,
fun.
yeah.
I screwed it up, but it was still fun. So,
Yep. I'm looking at Comicology now. You can buy that set now for $16. Yeah, it has Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, and then and for the Man Who Had Everything from Annual 11, and
the Jungle Line.
and then it says and DC Comics presents 85 Superman crosses paths with the Swamp Thing. So I guess those $16 right now. Yep.
There you go. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'll review. You know what I needed? I need to review some Valiant comics.
Some of those
That's
old.
probably-
You had a talking about those last week. It was or we were talking offline about those. I can't remember now. But
yeah, I love those.
Those were Harbinger and some of the other real popular titles. You were talking about how that was giving Marvel and DC a run for their money for a little bit.
Yes,
back then.
I'm definitely going to do a show about Valiant comics soon. See if of the '90s now, the early '90s, nothing. Yeah, for a few years there. Let me tell you, I was pretty disenchanted with Marvel and DC, and even some of the other independent stuff. But I was still me, so I still wanted to read good, superhero or fantasy, based comics. So, Pop Culture Republic, Valiant, loved them in the early '90s. So, like I said, I remember. I remember a friend of mine said, "Did you see that new Magnus comic?"
Nope, I haven't seen that.
I remember a friend telling me that, saying that to me. Did you see that new Magnus comic? He said.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was like, huh? I mean, I remember Magnus Robot Fighter. I remembered it.
Yeah, no, but you're thinking like Magneto. What?
No, he said Magnus. He may have said Magnus.
Yeah, no, I know,
Robot
but you know what I'm
Fighter.
saying. Yeah.
But I remembered Magnus Robot Fighter from all those covers from Gold Key, but I don't think I ever picked it up. I would pick it up. Well, if I picked it up, I put it back down. You know what I mean?
Yep. Never bothered. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it was just a new comic, and he said, you ought to read it. It's pretty good. Yeah, all right. Well, I was interested at least. It wasn't a big deal. Hello there, Monkey Jeebus. Good to see you there, man. Oh, you worked at Diamond, eh? Wow.
And you got that issue for free. Nice.
So I picked that up, and then I picked up right around that same time, not the Solar, and it wasn't based on Dr. Solar Man of the Atom, but it was just Solar Man of the Atom or whatever. But I saw that Barry Windsor Smith was doing. I'm like, oh well, yeah, I'm gonna have to have that.
Gotta have it, right? Yeah.
I like the Archie superheroes. I bought Mighty Crusaders for a while when Rich Buckler was doing a lot of them. I think late 80s, early 90s, maybe, or whatever it was, Matthew. I bought some of that, the Red Circle. Remember Red Circle? Tried to bring them back or whatever. I think I bought some of those. I don't know, but the Archie superheroes are okay. I don't know if you're familiar with the Archie superheroes, like the Fly and Lancelot, and the Shield and Lancelot Strong and
no,
a few others. So.
Monkey Jeebus said he worked inventory. God, that'd be like me working to make donuts. It's like,
there you go.
Nothing would have the inventory is very light this week. What happened? Working in the comic distribution center. Yeah.
Oh. We had one of those distribution centers in near New Orleans for a while back in the 80s and 90s. It was Capital City. Capital City used to be one of there were a couple of distributors before Diamond got almost pretty much a monopoly.
Yeah, they took
one of them was Capital City. Yeah, Alex Toth's Black Hood. You got that one? Yeah, I actually bought a couple issues of that. You mentioned Alex Toth. Our good buddy Mark C. was a huge Alex Toth fan. He loved him. But Magnus, Turok, and the Turok came a few years later. It came after Unity, but Magnus and Solar and Harbinger and Exo, Archer and Armstrong. I loved the early issues of Archer and Armstrong. This was a great comic. Barry Windsor Smith.
I have a few issues of Turok.
Oh yeah. Remember Turok was oops. Boy, you keep oopsing me. What is with the oops, man? What is wrong with comicology these days?
I know you've had bad luck lately with
what's happening
is that
today?
Just you, or is that? I wonder if anyone else has experienced that.
Was it doing it to me the other night when I was doing this too?
He's been doing it for you last few times. It kept.
Yeah. Damn it! Well, that pisses me off. I mean, at least it pops back on.
Yeah, it'll come back. Yeah, it's not like it crashes. It's just a web interface. Yeah. So it's not too bad. But yeah, it's a pain when that happens. Yeah.
I got my books from Capital City until Marvel Stupidity wiped out the distributors. Yes, I hung around at the Capital City warehouse for a good while. For every now and then when I go up there, I had buddies that worked there, but they had one here, believe it or not. So look, there's some of the comics I bought. I bought some of the comics I got cheap on Comicology. Yee.
No, you just wait. Yeah, wait till they go on sale and get. I guess I had a lot of Spider-Man on sale for the movie, right?
Yeah, I should have got more of those.
Weeks ago.
I should have got more of those. You ever read War of the Worlds?
Let's see. Amazing War of
Kill
the
Raven.
Worlds. Kill Raven. I don't think so. Nope. Yeah, well, look at that outfit. That's a 70s outfit, right?
Yeah.
60s, 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, but these Masterworks are like 98 cents or something.
Well, you can't go wrong for that, right?
No, I mean, hell no, it's just digital, but hell, if you want to read them,
No, why not? And they have all this other information on the comic too, which is great. So,
well, they have the whole opening to it. Yeah, they have the whole.
Yeah, but it's nice.
That's a long preface, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're really into the character or want to know about
Kill
something,
Raven.
yeah,
well, there you go.
Art's decent. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
little Swords of the Swashbuckler.
It's Neil Adams.
Sci-fi.
Yeah, it was War of the Worlds. Adams inked by Adams and Shaken together, man. Jesus.
Wow.
War of the Worlds. It was in the Marvel universe, but it was sort of in the Marvel future. I like how it says
by H.G. Wells.
Yeah, created in a series conceived by and edited by Roy Thomas, inspired by a novel by H.G. Wells.
Yeah. I mean, Stan Lee didn't create that?
Of course he did. Well, anyway, look at Harry Mudd.
That is Harry Mudd. The Martians are here. They're gonna eat all my tribbles.
Harry Mudd has tribbles now.
Yeah.
He probably. I know Sarah Mo Jones had tribbles.
I'm joking. Yes, Sarah Jones. Yeah. He would have tribbles too. Yeah.
Edge of Chaos. Pretty awful, I guess, but I love Gray Morrow though. You know the Gray Morrow. You're a Gray Morrow fan there, Matthew Pounder. I know. Again, our Mark C was a big Gray Morrow fan. That really does look like Harry Mudd. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you gonna do?
Stella.
Stella? Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Martians, please kill me, save me. Yeah.
Yeah, they had some interesting art on some of these. Ah, man. Well, that was what they would.
That's
Marvel
interesting,
would
yeah.
try any. Marvel would try anything.
Yeah, why not? Well, that back then, I'm trying to remember when did that come out? You think?
Oh,
These
this year, 71 or 2, somewhere 72.
All right, yeah, so it's before. Yeah, it's
David
nowhere
Serta.
near it.
What's up, David Serta? Good to see you. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
David.
I don't know. It was just kind of fun that they would do crazy stuff like this.
Yeah. See if
Old
it
Kill
sells,
Raven.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like John Carter of Mars kind of stuff, I guess, in a way. They're trying to make it. Oh, did we lose Clobbering Times? Uh-oh. He might have lost his internet there. Sorry, guys. I'll try to vamp for a few minutes and see what I can do, but I can't show. Oh, he's back. I'm saved.
Back. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Did you do a Gary?
I think I might have garried. I could have swore I hit the right button, but no. What did I do? I'm probably I was on the wrong damn.
Yeah,
I figured out what I did. Damn me and the Bruce.
Yeah, well, no, it's called the Gary, right?
I'm sure Gary would appreciate it.
I've done it before. I don't think he minds.
Why should it be called a Gary? Sorry, Gary. Gary would care, even if he would never listen to me to this. But if he was, he wouldn't care. He would probably think it was funny.
He would laugh.
Gary rocks.
Besides, that kind of guy.
You didn't say the full name. You just said Gary. Who could be any Gary?
Yeah, it could be any Gary on the interwebs.
Yeah. Oh dear.
With a beard and lots of toys. Yeah, it could be anyone.
But if you came up with a comic, I can review it one day if whatever struck your fancy. If you ever felt like it, you don't have to.
Well, what I'd love to do Micronauts 1 through 12, which isn't too long to do, I don't think, in one show. Go through that, and I haven't revisited that in a bunch of years. That'd be a fun one. The other favorite would be the Hercules miniseries by Bob Layton. I think that's only 4 issues, right?
Yeah.
That's
they did a later series as well,
there was a second.
Yeah.
The second one, but the first, the original one. And then I know you're not the biggest Wolverine fan, but it's a pretty standard fare, standard pick. But that first 4 issues.
I wouldn't mind going back to that one at all.
Yeah, that one is the Miller, and that one, as a young kid, that one was just everyone was waiting to get that comic, and when's the next one out? When's the next one out? Taking the train down to the comic, it was a newsstand, it wasn't a shop, but like, oh, cool, it's actually out. God, why didn't I buy like 5 or 6 copies fresh off the newsstand, right? Who would have thunk that? But you were buying them because you just loved reading them. So
yeah,
those are fun. Yeah,
we need to tell Nick about this comic right here because he did a really nice video about Hawkeye. Remember?
Oh yeah, he wanted. Yep. And then what was the other comic he wanted to cover?
I don't know.
Was it?
Remember this one though?
Let's see, 189. That's when he takes on all. Yeah, he takes on everyone, right? Yeah. So yeah,
I haven't read this in a long time, but I have it in here.
Yeah, that was the Nick Weiser. Didn't he just review this or?
No, he reviewed one.
Which one did he do?
60 something. The one that took place in the Korvac saga. 160 something. I can't remember. Or 40 something. I can't remember. It wasn't this one.
Okay.
This one, dude, this one's by Byrne, isn't it? This is Byrne.
Let's see.
Wings and Arrows. I need to reread it. I'll probably read it later, but let's just take a look at it. And I'm trying to remember what the story was about, because I think it was mostly about Hawkeye though. It was a Hawkeye story. That's right. Yeah, this.
You
is
know,
good.
the Avengers go away somewhere, do something. You know, the rest of the team's out, and it's Hawkeye's there.
Yeah, he goes. Yeah, he fights this crazy bitch right here. Great art by Byrne.
Yeah, the classic Hawkeye costume. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nick might like that. I'm gonna tell him about that.
Yeah.
Nicholas, if you're out there, buddy. Yeah. Byrne. I don't. Was it Byrne Rubenstein? Okay. It was one. Okay, yes, it was 174 that he talked about.
Okay.
Monkey Jeever said I pissed Anna off earlier because she showed she had a Star Wars book, and I was so owning a book means you know everything about it. Okay. Oh,
Well, don't piss Anna off.
I would never piss her off. Atlas Seaboard always to be, and Becky she mentioned. Yep, I bet some of those Atlas Seaboards. Remember you and I talked. I talked to you one night about Atlas Seaboard. I bet those are going to start going up if they haven't already.
Well, everything's going up like crazy. I mean, people are just looking for key issues or anything's older now or anything. Even in the 70s, I think the price is going up. So whenever I update my collection on the computer, it just hops up, by a percentage, just because it's just things are going up, and a lot of it's the key issue hunters. You can see where they're going after stuff, and just stuff that was maybe $3 or $5 is $20 now, and that which isn't totally unaffordable if it's something you really wanted to fill a hole in your collection or buy, but cumulative that adds up to a lot over time. So
yeah, burn and green on this one there, Hungry Boy. But yeah, he I'll tell Nick about this. Maybe he'll want to review that one. So, oh my goodness. But yeah, well,
classic Thor.
So did you watch Boba Fett?
No, I actually didn't, because my son got on with his buddies to play Madden or some sports ball game, and then I was playing Fortnite with Dad Man for a little bit before, and then we were playing when the show started. And
oh, dude, I didn't mean to draw you from that.
No. I was just on the couch watching the show, and then we were playing Fortnite earlier, so we had an early Fortnite session.
An early Fortnite, there you go.
And then Dad Man had to do some grown up stuff, and I can say it's his anniversary tomorrow, so I'm sure he won't mind. So now,
happy anniversry!
So happy anniversary, Dad Man. Don't forget your anniversry. Yep. Keep them
don't forget
happy.
your anniversary, dude. What's wrong with you? I know you wouldn't. I'm just kidding.
So I said, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" I'm like, "We might be streaming together." I'm like, well, just make sure that's okay with the missus, because if I told
the anniversary,
yeah, I guess they're gonna be streaming at night. So if I told them, "Hey, Maureen, you want to come on the stream for an anniversary surprise?" Sorry, Dad Man, I'm ratting you out, but yeah, that's all good. Yep, I'm sure they'll do something special. So, but yeah, I've never forgot my anniversary. Thankfully, I have it engraved on the wedding ring on the inside, so can't forget.
Yeah. Wow. This book has a Marvel team up with a Spidey and Mockingbird. I can't get over who drew this comic there. Hungry Boy. Jimmy James. And Bruce Patterson did. There's a glitch in the Matrix. I didn't know they did Marvel stuff. I guess they were freelancing because they were always doing stuff on Legion. Unfortunately, James had bad inkers on Legion a lot. What's the deal? Jimmy James did that much Marvel stuff, really? Okay, you probably knew Jimmy James, didn't you? Hungry, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Just gonna stream of unconsciousness.
That's all.
I bet he did though. I bet he knows who it is. But I bet he knows. Let me see it. Yeah, they're gonna do an anniversary stream playing Fortnite. You should stream it for him. So, I bet he knows.
Brings people together. Yep. Let's see if Hungry Boy says. Yep. I love these romantic Italians. Yep.
Not James. Janes, Janes. He didn't do a lot. Oh, now I know what I wanted to ask you about. Obscure comic artists, like James, but James Sherman, Hungry Boy. Well, Jimmy James too, but James Sherman was one of my favorite Legion artists, except when his art was ruined by Jack Abel. And nothing against Jack Abel, but I don't like his inks on Sherman. But nuke time. So no, okay. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the typo. I mean, there's no way it was going to let you say the word Janes. I got you.
Yeah, it's tough to see there on the screen too, so it's easy to.
Ruined by. No, I'm kidding about ruined by Abel. I like Abel. I was just kidding, but I mean, it's just it did make his art look a little bit different than when he inked himself on Legion. I like Jack Abel. I was just kind of. I hope you're not Jack Abel, Hungry Boy. No, Jack Abel. Whatever happened to Jack Abel, by the way? Whatever happened to Jack Abel? Now I want to know. He knows all these things. Yeah. He wasn't able. I knew there was going to be a joke about that. So, were you a fan of Abel's work or not, Hungry? You can tell me. I just hope you weren't Jack Abel, because then, if you were, then you would be taking it as an insult.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah. He sucked.
Yeah. Ain't able enough to be able. No. Let's be honest. Abel, I don't know, man. Abel, though, on Sherman, didn't work for me. We were talking earlier, again.
You didn't like the inks on the second issue, right?
He likes, not as much. He likes Abel's inks in the 70s. Okay, I just didn't like him on Sherman. Look, you keep that air of mystery, Hungry Boy. I don't know who you are. And I don't want to insult anybody. I mean, look, I can't. When it comes to drawing, I should never critique anybody's art. But you can, because you're an artist, Hungry. That's different. I can't draw. For example, I like Kurt Schaffenberger, but I don't think he should be inking. But you got to admit, when you have to follow up on the second part of a story from George Perez, who never inked anything hardly, not even himself most of the time. Once in a while on the cover, he inked himself. To inking Swan, that's one of the greatest comics I've ever seen in terms of art for me. Seeing Swan inked by Perez.
Yeah, talk about a great lineup, God.
Oh my God! I just wish he'd done the second issue.
Yeah. Yeah. When creative teams change, like Perez didn't finish doing Infinity Gauntlet, right? Didn't he only do the first? Was it Infinity Gauntlet or which?
He didn't stay on it long.
Yeah, so then they switched up the art, and then you're reading it, you're like, what happened? Especially when you're doing a limited series, if it's a regular run of a book, obviously you change artists all the time. But you have a limited series here. Hungry Boy's Jim Shooter.
Jim Shooter? Are you really Jim Shooter, Hungry Boy? Well, let me tell you something, dude. I have a bone to pick with you about. No, I'm just kidding. You did some good stuff. Now, the way I talked about Jim Shooter here, he wouldn't. I'd know if he was Jim Shooter. Shorter. What the hell? Oh, he could. Well, look, Jim Shooter did some great things. He did Valiant of the early '90s, and he wrote some good Legion comics in the '60s. So, and some good Avengers comics in the '70s.
There you go. So there's some praise there.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold this new universe against him. Just kidding.
The new universe.
Not like I read it much. So.
Well, he tried, right? He tried. Some things don't work.
Yep.
I mean, some things do.
McLeod and Miller on Mockingbird. This is from one of those Hawkeye trades. Okay.
Is Hawkeye in this issue, or is he in?
I don't know. It's got Mockingbird.
Mockingbird, right? Yeah.
Maybe he's in there somewhere.
Isn't she supposed to be teaming up with Daredevil?
I don't know. Why is Why did they put Mockingbird back in this thing?
Love that
That's
flying
weird.
car from Shield. Yep.
Yep. Huh. Well, that's wild.
Take
Weird
that Back
stuff,
to the
folks.
Future.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, my friends. I gave Jim one of his first nicknames in his valiant days, Lurch the Butler of comics. Wow. I met Shooter a couple times. I met him at they did a Valiant tour in New Orleans at a friend's shop. I think that was the Deathmate tour, actually. Remember the Deathmate tour in the early 90s? It was
remember that one.
It was a Valiant Image crossover called Deathmate.
Okay.
And a bunch of the people from Valiant and Image when it did a tour to comic shops.
Try to, obviously promote the book and sales. Yep.
But Pop Culture says, I don't know if anyone else hears it, but there is a whine or a high-pitched noise going on in the background. It's really soft, so it comes and goes. I do hear it. I'm hearing it in my... I just got so used to it. I mean,
I don't know. Is that my headphones or... let me mute myself for a second. See if it's me. Unless it's my computer fan in the background. Let me see.
I don't know. But I do hear it, but I just kind of got used to it. But thank you for that, Pop Culture. Yes, Deathmate when Void and Dr. Solar merged. Yes. That was when they were that was after Unity. I didn't really think much of that, of the Deathmate. Some of it was okay, but I didn't really think much of that. I'm going to be quite honest, but it's pretty, you can hear the background noise pretty good on that, but oh well.
Was it May or was it?
Yeah, it's definitely come from your side. But remember we were talking about that before. You can't really hear it.
I can't hear anything in terms of in my room. I guess that's weird.
What you'd have to do probably is go back and listen to it recorded and see.
Yeah, let's see if I can hear it.
Do you guys hear it there? Matthew Powder said he thought it was crickets.
Let's see. I'll mute again and let me know if it goes away.
Okay. Okay, now it goes away. It went away with it when you muted. Now I don't hear it. And now I do. So there. Huh. It's definitely background noise coming from that side. But I mean, it's not. If it doesn't bother anybody else, I can live with it because.
Sorry, it must be. I just have it's just the fan in my computer, but other than that, the room is. That's weird because in the summertime this year, I'm streaming with my AC on and it seemed to be okay, but I just turned the gain all the way down. So hopefully that's. Or it could, who knows with StreamYards or. Let me turn on and off that. I know we're headed out anyway soon, but let me turn on and off that echo cancellation. See if
that's louder.
That's loud. I've turned it on again.
Yeah. Strange.
Weird. Yeah, because it's a USB mic, so you'd think that
it was doing it the other night on your show.
Huh.
Night, D-Bud. Take it easy, brother.
Confusers.
Oh well. Well, my friends, I want to thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Again, a big shout out and thank you to the great Maxfield Von Priestley for hanging out with me and reviewing that comic. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we did. It was great fun. It passed by really fast. We got through that time because I didn't know exactly how we were going to do it. I think that's how we're going to do it from now on, though. So,
that worked good, yeah.
I like the way, as soon as I can get a copy, if it's something I can't get on whatchamacallit, Comicology or whatever. We did it last time somehow. I forget how the other. We did
Well, I'd made some slides. I'd made some slides, or someone else.
From what?
Well, I'd made some slides too.
Though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but no. Yeah, you know how to make slides. I'm talking about when Mark, the other Mark, and I did it though.
Oh, okay. I
can't remember how I did that. I think I just put pictures.
Sometimes you did like Google searches and just search the issue.
Put overlays and shit. Yeah, that's right. But I like doing it. This is really good to be able to do it this way. Put the whole comic on there. So, folks, though, tomorrow night, Clobby's Comics Corner with the first officer, the wonderful Raquel, and the chief engineer.
Yeah.
What's his name again? C.A.
The Mark
with
guy,
the D Mark.
Yep.
Or something like that. But thank you all for being here tonight, everyone. I really appreciate it. Again, great shout out to the great MVP. I appreciate you so much, everybody. And as always, shout out to the great Steven Loki for my intro, outro. Everyone, have a fantastic rest of your evening, and I hope to see you all back here tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. Clobber on, clobberers.